Um, Carl Blog, you get a twofer for today. I want before I say anything else, remember that God love you, Christ love you, and I love you as well. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday, whether it's the evening, afternoon, morning to some. Shout out to y'all. Welcome to the Taking Home Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the Taking Home Podcast, where I talk about professional wrestling topics, and I talk about my matches as Classic Alpha, and I show my matches as Classic Alpha, and I give my insight as Chris Classic, who is Classic Alpha as a wrestler. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you also subscribe to C3 Ultimate Wrestling. That is me and my wife's professional wrestling company. You get to watch all of our matches from C3 Ultimate Wrestling of this year and previous years as well. We had 4 shows this year. Usually we shoot for 3, but we're giving to the community with the last one. That is 4, so happy for that. Wrench Syndicate in the building. What's going on, Robert Brown? What's going on? Hope everything's going well with you, brother. God bless you. Make sure you get tickets February 21st. Dyer, Indiana, Harold's Private Venue, Big Business, BIG Business. We get to see some great matches, and the matches will be dropped possibly next weekend. So excited about that. Thank you. Appreciate that. I received that. Looking at my thumbnail, you guys know what match I'm going to talk about. I've spoke about it a little bit, but we're going to talk about it now because so many people are divided on it, including Brody Lee's wife and a lady who used to wrestle and also used to produce for AEW. Like, I don't want to say they're the spearhead, but most people are talking about them because of their relevancy within the company of AEW. So I'm going to talk about briefly what they're talking about, and I'm going to talk about how some people don't like it and some people hated it. Obviously, when I saw Moxley and Darby was going to go against each other, I wasn't excited. I don't like how they wrestle. I think it's more of a negative effect. I think people love what they do. I do think they love the company that they wrestle for, and is also paying them a lot of money. Sure, Jon Moxley is the heart and soul of AEW and all of that stuff, but still, it doesn't mean that I'm technically per se a fan. I'm sure he loves it. He can do what he wants to do. They book people who are his friends. He had that Death Rider storyline that still, to this day, made no sense at all. He was hanging with his friends in they white tees. Yep. In they white tees. Yep. I slang in my white tee. I bang in my white tee. All that stacking my change in the white tee. I clean in my white tee. I bleed in my white tee. Because, you know, he bled a lot. But anyway, he ain't my cup of tea neither. This is coming from like when the Shield was out in WWE and people was like touting him as like the next big thing because they was like his stuff in the independent scene was remarkable as Jon Moxley. Like people was like, man, he's the future of the company, man. He's going to be the face. He's going to be that. And then it eventually transitions to Seth because it's Tyler Black and stuff like that. And then we know who the real winner, I don't want to say winner, but victor basically. It was Roman Reigns, the dude that they trained and all of that stuff and had the family bloodlines and stuff. And I think that was the right decision. I think Dean or John or whatever he wants to become was not the right decision, especially with certain things. It just wasn't. So I'd say that much. In them white tees, I bleed in my white tee, recede in my white tee. All that deathmatch wrestling is what you need in that white tee. I can make a song, man. I didn't like the ending to the I Quit match at Wrestle Dream. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people said that it was corny. Like I said, I know, if I'm right, he just put him in a sharpshooter in some water, like a puddle of water in the middle of the ring, and he said, I quit or whatever. And then Darby put up that flag, you know, the same flag that he used to get on Mount Everest because he climbed Mount Everest and did the world's largest kickflip. But Guinness World Records are not recognizing him as doing the world's largest, tallest kickflip because they didn't call him and they didn't bring a representative there. I don't think a representative would have went because people have died climbing that mountain, but still, that's Scorpion Deathlock. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah. But I bleed in my white tee. I'm sorry, I should make a YouTube short with it. But still, I thought Darby was going to beat Moxley for the belt, to be honest with you. I think a lot of us thought that. I think a lot of people was like, as soon as Darby climbs down that huge mountain, he's going to beat Moxley for the belt. But he wanted to be in Hangman. Hangman is divisive too. Some people like him, some people don't like him and stuff like that. Some people aren't a big fan. Some people love him because he represents AEW to them and stuff. So I ain't a big fan of Hangman Adam Page. I tried and stuff like that. I do think that they could have did something, especially in the beginning of AEW, but obviously they was gonna lean towards Jericho because he was a well more name, and everybody was liking the Elite and the Kenny Omega stuff. Wasn't a fan of that neither. Still, but a lot of people are talking about basically one of the situations that happened to where Moxley put Darby's head in some water. I'm trying to say it the nice way because I don't want YouTube to clip this live, but you guys know what I mean when he says that, because it's an I Quit match and he wanted the man to quit by putting him in the water, and he wasn't baptizing. He definitely wasn't, because I don't think neither one of them may go to church. But still, so I saw some clips, I saw some pictures, and I was like, this is utterly ridiculous. What are you guys doing on TV? Y'all gonna mess the money up for y'all. I said the same thing when Moxley had the plastic bag with Bryan Danielson. I said that stuff. I said a lot of the stuff, the bleeding all the time, the excessive bleeding. And they didn't bleed a lot because in St. Louis and Missouri, there's rules and regulations that they have to follow about bleeding and bloodshed and stuff like that. There's only a certain amount they can do. So they didn't do it. I'm glad, because I'm sick of seeing it. Sick of seeing it. Sick of seeing these no DQ matches. Like, you cannot tell me that every feud is a blood feud. Every feud does not need to be a blood feud. What are we doing? Oh, I gotta fight you like the first time I'm outside. Now we gotta fight. You know, the women's match, they about to do that blood and guts match. They really don't have that much of animosity between each other. They're not hitting each other. They didn't kill somebody's dog. They didn't hit somebody. They didn't sleep with somebody's boyfriend. They don't have no kind of animosity. They're just doing it for the sake. Oh, blood and guts. Like, they promoted this match and they didn't even do it yet. They didn't even do it yet. And then, you know, they also touting the women's tag belts. Like, they trying to do too much. I don't think neither. No, I don't think they go to church. They definitely don't go to church. 6'7", what's going on, Nick? Hangman not my cup. He not neither. It's like he tried. It's difficult to put off a cowboy gimmick because some people who have done it have done great jobs. Before Bradshaw was JBL, and before all of that, he was it Justin Hawk? It was something. But he had a cowboy gimmick. Billy Gunn had a cowboy gimmick. A lot of people cannot pull off cowboy gimmicks, and it's a little bit different now. You know, James Storm is like a big one that everybody still likes and stuff, and they compare both of them. Much of a comparison besides them wearing cowboy hats and calling themselves cowboy. But in this time and age, it's very difficult to try to be like a cowboy, like a modern day cowboy and stuff. You know, after saying cowboy-ish, you know, the stuff that he say. What else do you have besides the pants, which be funny and all that? Hey, but it is what it is. But to me, it ain't is what I know. Some homies, my colored homies, they didn't like the fact that he used to come out with a hangman, with a noose, and they was like, oh well, you know, I don't understand it. And I understand that too. And then, you know, Hangman used to get mad from what I heard. Oh, because I'm a cowboy. This is not. Why don't you just ride a horse, bro? Why don't you just ride a horse? Why don't you wear chaps? You have to have the noose. Come on now. Come on now. Still, what kind of match would you put the women in the side for blood and guts match? I mean, they could do a traditional six-way elimination, sort of like a Survivor Series match. My problem is, you don't need to do a blood and guts match because you can. And that'd be the problem. I have nothing against women trying to wrestle and get the bag and all of that stuff. But when they try to promote women like blood and guts matches and all of this stuff, it's just like, I'm just doing it just because women can do it. We seen Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa just bleed all over the ring. They bled all over the ring, and the matches was good for the most part. But dang, you see one, you see them all. Almost every other month or every month, we see women bleeding. They do a tag match, a tables match. They do all kind of stuff. We talked about Scott Blue and Tony stapling each other's body parts. We talked about all of that stuff. And in the cusp of that, that's supposed to lead to a blood and guts match where a woman will probably fall off the top of the cage, because that's like tradition for the men to do. 6-on-6, sure. Why not? Why not? Or why not just have an all women's Dynamite episode or all women's Rampage episode? Why not do that? Why don't you do what WWE has not done? WWE has done a pay-per-view, Evolution and stuff, right? This was the second one they did because the first one wasn't. The first one, a lot of people don't really say we liked and we missed and stuff, right? They brought that back. That was cool, dope. Women got a second all-women's pay-per-view. That's dope. Why don't y'all do an all-women show on TV? Why don't y'all promote that? Y'all got the money for it. Y'all losing ratings. Maybe this boosts ratings. A lot of people like women's wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you could do something like that. A blood and guts match. Yeah, people are going to look at it. I'm sure they're probably going to get a bump in ratings for a little bit because they're going to look at it because they want to see what these women will do. I don't know what you're talking about, Kim, but God bless you too. Oh, Rampage is gone? Is it Collision? One of them, hey, one of them shows, man. One of them shows. I know it was Rampage was the CM Punk one, right? So is it Collision? Appreciate you, Robert. Appreciate it. Wrench Syndicate in the building. Wrench Syndicate is in the building. Got them choppers on deck. But anyway, I would do something different. I would probably have like an all-women's Dynamite or is it Rampage or was it Collision? I know one of them is gone. I know Dynamite is not gone because that's the flagship. But still, I would do something different. So going into the situation of Darby, me personally, I think it's stupid. I wouldn't like it. I don't like that kind of stuff, and that's the kind of stuff I got to defend my company from, because people will probably look at that, go viral, and be like, oh, well, do y'all do some stuff like that? This happens. People will look at that stuff and be like, oh my gosh, why would I want my kids to see it? So that's my part. I don't think it was necessary. It didn't need to happen. It's not even a wrestling match. They tried to put it off as a fight. Just didn't look right. Rampage is, okay, Rampage, okay. Rampage was on, so Collision is still here then. Okay, so basically one of the ladies, it was a lady, she was a producer and a former wrestler. She talked about this stuff too because AEW has been promoting this certain spot. And, she was like, who needs to stop people from, stop kids from watching this kind of stuff so that they don't get influenced? She said mothers. Now, I'm going to say this too before I go into that. She could have said fathers too. She didn't have to say just mothers. Like, there's fathers that take care of their kids. I'm one of them will take care of my kids. You know what I'm saying? So you just going to mothers is just like something. Now, she might have been saying this to somebody who I'm about to bring up. This might have been targeted to somebody else. But at the same time, when you put that out in social media, sometimes you cannot bring that back. And she could have been targeting this lady, or she could have just been saying something. But to me, I personally didn't like that part of what she said. Oh, mothers, like as if fathers don't monitor what their kids watch and don't want their kids to watch certain things. So basically she was like, basically mothers need to make sure the kids don't watch something like that because they could possibly emulate and they could possibly copy something like that, and that's very, very dangerous. Now, Amanda, I believe her name is Amanda, who is Brody Lee's wife, his widow. He passed, unfortunately. She works for AEW, and her oldest son has a contract, so when he's 18, he'll be wrestling in AEW, and I know he's been training and stuff, right? So, she basically told the lady, she brought up the lady, she like choked somebody with a belt when she used to wrestle, and then she also said, do you know what my kids are doing? Sleeping. They're sleeping when these two performers are doing these kind of matches. And then she was like, because I actually have kids, and I don't know if the lady can make kids or not. I don't know, but it's all crazy. It's all crazy to me, because she was like, you can get the entire F out of here. Now, I don't know their situation. I don't know the beef they had. I know that both of them was like showing tweets and texts between each other. I'm not here to go about that, but I am going to speak about that little part, that surface about it. Regardless if that showed at 12 o'clock or 10 o'clock, kids will watch it if they can find it. Amanda actually proved the lady's point about having her kids obviously being asleep because they probably got school in the morning, and she probably wouldn't let them watch them. So the lady who made the first statement, she was actually right. And low-key, Amanda, if I'm not saying, it's either Amanda or Ashley. If I'm not saying Brody Lee's wife's name correctly, please forgive me. I'm going to say Brody's wife, okay? I'll call her that. Brody's wife basically prove that lady's point about your kids not watching it. My thing is, we've already talked about how AEW goes on for so long, because people like to include the pre-show. Sometimes I do think it's ridiculous to add the pre-show, but then sometimes you can. You know, a 6-hour show, basically. It's saying 6-hour show. You know, WWE's been doing the stuff with the PLEs where they're not that long. They may be 2 hours. They may even stretch to 3 hours. But the pre-show, they're not even showing wrestling like they used to. They dang near don't show pre-shows. They dang near don't show that anymore. But still, my take on it, like I said, is this. I lean more towards what the lady said, outside of obviously the mother's thing. Hopefully it was a thoughtful tweet or post. Hopefully it wasn't a shot at Brody's wife, because I do feel like that would be unnecessary too. I do feel like his wife did respond and retaliate really unnecessarily too. You know, I've talked about AEW's content. I've talked about how Tony is like talking about, oh, well, we got family-friendly prices. But I'm not bringing my family there. What if I wanted to see Wrestle Dream? What if I wanted to be like, hey, kids, I want you guys to see something great. Why don't you guys come to see here these cheap prices and stuff? And then I'm seeing that. First of all, I would never take my kids to an AEW show because they start too late. Especially if my kids got school in the morning. Like, nah, we're not doing that. Maybe doing earlier shows could work. Maybe. You know, I know WWE does it sometimes, especially when they do shows like overseas and stuff. But still, even like their PLEs, they really don't run really long unless it's like a big 4. But other than that, I wouldn't take them to go see because it's something like that. You know, obviously they probably waited so long so they could do that crazy act and all of that stuff. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm definitely one of the ones that don't like it. I don't ever need to see nothing like that again. Hopefully they don't fight. I know Moxley's fighting somebody else now. Hopefully they'll do something. Like I said, I personally do think that they need to go to kid-friendly content. I think you can have an Edge. Well, not Adam Copeland Edge, but you can have an Edge. But at the same time, I don't think you need to do all of that stuff, especially if your ratings aren't doing well, if they're declining. Maybe you need to try to do something different. Darby is a wrestler that the kids can get behind because of the face paint stuff. I've seen kids dress up like him. I've seen kids with the face paint in the crowd. I've seen people dress like Sting, but Sting is retired and he only comes outside from time to time. But still, I know some people are defending AEW like, hey, what did you expect? It's an AEW show. And to me, that's a fair point. I think trying to have them be like a squeaky clean image, that's not what AEW represents. AEW does not do that. A lot of wrestlers bleed. They do a lot of crazy stuff. They're not blocking stuff out. They're not doing none of that stuff. So that's just something that AEW does, right? That's what they, and if that's what people like, that's what they like. You know, Tony Khan calls the fans sickos. I think that's the worst thing to call your fans. That is Anthony Khan. Listen to me. Listen, I know WWE got the universe, the WWE universe. A lot of people got the megastars, they got the superstars. So many people got different names for their fans. Sickos? Sickos is definitely not a name that you need to name your fans. Oh, we're all AEW sickos. No, that sounds horrible. That sounds horrible. And the fact that somebody probably would come out and say, I'm an AEW sicko, sounds bad. I'm surprised he didn't make shirts to say I'm an AEW sicko. Because that don't even sound right. It sounds disgusting. But still, I did want to speak about that for a little bit. What do you guys think, though? Do you guys think that spot was too far? Do you think the spot was necessary? Or do you think a lot of people just tripping? Do you think, like, this is just something that they're going to continue to do? Like, let me know. Like, let me know what you guys think. Because to me, it wasn't unnecessary. It was truly unnecessary. I don't think they really need to do anything like that, right? I don't think they need to do it. But I'm not surprised that stuff happened. Because it seems like Moxley and even Darby, they're going, what's going on, Christy? They seem like, you know, sometimes people try to one-up what they did last time. Like, it won't be long until, like, swords and pistols come out. And people are going to be like, oh, okay, on guard, and start hitting each other with the swords and stuff. Wouldn't be surprised. I definitely wouldn't be surprised. But let me know what you guys think. Even if you guys respond to this after I get off of this live because I'm almost home. Leave the comments. Let's talk about it. I want to know what your thoughts on this situation. Hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon or evening or night, wherever you're at your time zone. This is Chris Classic. Chris Classic. Let's take it home.